Business intelligence is the information coming out of the business that is the ability for people inside the business to make the right decisions for that business moving forward. The key thing about business intelligence is it is not detail. It is taking all of that detail and processing it in such a way that you get trends, you get statistics, you get charts that give you a much bigger picture of what really is happening down at the coalface. The design of business intelligence, the requirements of business intelligence, has to be a strategic feature of whatever source that implementation or the information is coming from. One of the challenges that I see in a number of my clients is that the business intelligence requirements weren't considered in the same frame as the data entry. And the data entry is the source of the business intelligence, even though the information is going to get run together, amalgamated, summarized, analyzed, made graphical. The source of it must still be that coalface data entry. The main reason that it's important is when you as a business executive are making decisions about your business going forward, you need to know that those decisions are being made on real data, not what you think is happening or what you hope is happening, but what is really happening. And what is really happening needs to be reflected by what the users who are using your line of business tools are really doing. Not what they say they're doing or what they think they're doing or what they would like to do, but what they are really doing. If business decision makers are not getting the real data, at risk of stating the obvious, they are getting flawed data. If you make a decision based on flawed data, the probability of it being the right decision is very slim. What comes to mind here is, imagine you're crossing the road. You're in a hurry. You want to get to the other side. If you just imagine that there is no traffic coming and jump into the middle of the road and run, and there really is traffic coming, the chances are you're going to get mown down by that traffic. The fact that you hoped that the road was empty is neither here nor there. The road wasn't empty and you pay the price. With the information in your business, it is much the same. If you don't act on real information, so you're acting on flawed information, you will pay the price of making decisions on that flawed data. What those decisions or flawed decisions lead to could be anything. It could be that you predict much higher profits than you've got any realistic chance of achieving. It could be that you go after a market or sales that your product or services are completely unsuited for, and a whole raft of other possibles. But think of it in terms of crossing the road. When you cross the road, you've got to make sure that the road is really clear of traffic, not clear in your imagination of traffic. When designing your requirements for business intelligence, it is essential that you see the link between the data entry at one end of your process and your outcome at the other. If these two are not linked, you will end up with either the flawed information that's based on false assumptions, or you will end up with a situation where your users here are doing their job, and then as an extra part of their job, they're having to produce the reports using a word processor or a spreadsheet or whatever additional tool. And as soon as those reports are an extra task for your people, you run a number of risks. The first risk is that people put in the report what they know you want to see, not what's really happening. The second risk is that it is taking time away from those frontline workers doing their real job. If they're spending half a day a week producing a sales report for the Monday morning meeting, that is 10% of their week not spent doing those sales. Maybe you've gone to the bank for an injection of capital based on projected sales. If those projected sales are flawed, you're probably not going to be able to make the revenue that you need to make the repayments on the finance that has been agreed. Where does that leave you? The shareholder investment will plummet because the return is not what you thought it was. And maybe you need to repeat things so that you need further finance in order to meet the commitments of the earlier finance. And your probability of getting that finance, of course, drops if it can be seen that your reason for needing finance is that previous predictions did not come to pass the way you thought they would. And also, adding to that, in whatever form those promises took, they could be shareholder reports, they could be information out to the stock exchange, it could be promises to customers, whole range of things, but those promises have not been met, and the result of that is credibility at best drops and potentially goes through the floor. And if you're really unlucky, your competitors will pick up on that and will fan the flames of your failure to meet the promises that you made and will elevate and amplify that. So you're left looking very stupid in the market and they gather all the rewards and returns of you looking stupid. They're putting their reputation, they're putting their neck, their mortgage. Who knows what is on the line? It could be everything. When the promises don't work, whatever they put on the line, they potentially lose. And that could be personal things such as the house because they put the mortgage on the line. The business might go under, in which case all their employees are probably out of work. There are lots and lots of things that could go wrong as a result of making a decision based on flawed data, an ill-informed decision made with the best possible intents, but the incorrect decision because the data was flawed. CRM helps solve the problem with the flawed data when it is designed properly so it is easy for users to use to put the correct data in, and the data entry is part of the flow of the business. It is not a separate activity, and it is making the data entry part and parcel of the everyday life, but also remembering that when we're asking users to invest their time and effort in putting data in, they on a personal level have to see some return. The old what's in it for me. A typical user doesn't care about benefit to the board, benefit to the CEO, benefit to the shareholder. What they care about is what rules their life. So them achieving their targets, getting out of work at the time they want to get out of work to spend time with their family, their children, their dog, whatever drives them. So we need to have processes that work for both. Processes that give the business decision makers what they need while giving the users what they need, and it needs to be one succinct flow, not broken. Something that you might notice that would be an indicator that your data is flawed is where you've got a sales prediction number coming from CRM and the actual sales as being very different, or at least different. In order to fix that sort of problem where you're looking at, here we've got predicted sales, here we've got actual sales for the same period, product, geography, whatever, and we see that the two are potentially chalk and cheese, we then need to look at where and why the error crept in. There's a number of possible reasons for this. One is that the data entry is done later. So people are going back later and backfilling the data based on memory. Or another reason is that people they know what their targets are. They know that perhaps their job is dependent on the targets. So they are creating the data so it looks as though they are meeting the target. In essence, it is that the data is not coming directly from the work that is being done by people at the coalface. A well-functioning CRM stops that happening or changes that because the same tool is delivering benefit to the user, so they are prepared to use it. The user sees it as something that helps them in their day-to-day job, rather than just something that management is saying, you must do this to keep me happy. And therefore, they see benefit. When you see benefit, you will follow through. You will use something that gives you that benefit. And if the use is designed in such a way that it flows through into the business intelligence, you're home and hosed. One thing that I encourage people, my clients, to do as a test for this is ask them whether they can run their sales meetings, their strategy meetings, whatever key meetings that they need to run directly from CRM. So taking CRM and projecting it during the meeting and asking key questions of their team that come straight from a projected image of CRM, not something that could have been printed or massaged prior to the meeting. If your strategic meetings are not being run directly from CRM in the way that I've mentioned, this begs the question as why they are not being run from CRM. And if the answer to that question is that CRM can't give you the information that the strategic meetings need, you want to look at why CRM is not giving you that information and think about how you can work with CRM so that it does give you the information. And at the same time, of course, that will give you back the time that is being spent on the massaging of the information prior to the meetings. If when you look at CRM and you look at what you need in one of your strategic meetings and you're seeing CRM here, strategic requirements here, big hole in the middle, you probably would benefit from some assistance to create the bridge between the two so that your strategic meetings can run directly out of CRM. To find advice to fill that gap, there are all the usual places, such as internet, reading from now until 3 weeks next Pancake Tuesday about whatever CRM technology, or alternatively, call somebody like me who can have a look at what you've got, what you need to get to, and can show you how you can build that bridge from what CRM is delivering, what you need to get, and fill the gaps. And of course, when you bring in a professional who's got however many years of experience working with other clients with similar problems to this, it takes a tiny fraction of the time because they're able to get to the nub of the problem quickly and simply.